What the gym did for me is it established a work ethic. It made me want to improve not just in the gym, but in other areas of my life because I was actually able to apply my work to something and see the progress, see the results, and see what hard work could do. And when you can actually physically feel, when you can physically determine the result of hard work, I really think that it is a great place to start to kind of apply that mindset into other areas of your life.
Welcome, fit and healthy people, and welcome to the Transcend podcast.
What's up, guys? How are you doing today?
My name's Casey, and I'm sitting here with my good friend in life,
Vaughn.
And this is basically our introduction to our whole podcast, which we hope you'll be along for the journey.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you guys, and we hope that you appreciate what we've got in store for you.
So basically, we're just two Colorado guys here who we're kind of all about fitness. Fitness is our lives. It's the journey that we're on right now, and it's the lifestyle we admire so much, and it's our passion. And we just basically want to share what we know, if any,
Yeah.
with whoever wants to hear it. So all the valuable principles, fundamentals that we've learned that have to do with fitness, we have our 2 cents, and we want to be able to share that with anyone who is willing to listen. And so maybe that will keep you guys from having to wait a year or two or however long it would have taken you to learn the same things we've learned, which may have taken us years. So anything that we do know, we're gonna be sharing throughout the episodes of this podcast, and we're gonna kick this first one off today.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a wonderful opportunity, just getting in to be able to talk to you guys about fitness and all of that. So all of us, we all have a personal relationship with fitness. I think any one of you tuning into us right now, if you guys go to the gym, if you run, if you work out, you do anything active, trying to better yourself, get healthy, you're leading a healthy lifestyle, you might all have a different story about how you got into fitness, right? So we're going to share with you how each one of us got into fitness to begin with.
Yeah, so for myself, I remember it was transitioning from middle school to high school, and I'd been playing baseball from a young age, and now kind of getting into it seriously for the first time going into high school. And I was one of the smaller guys on my team in every team I played on. So that was always, something that I took to heart. Is I was a small dude, and it was hard for me. So over time, I realized, to perform at the level I want to, and to keep up with my teammates and really anyone around me, peers at school and everything, I needed to get more involved in fitness. And for me, that was at the time weightlifting. I was already running pretty often and things like that. So, quickly I learned that I did not want to remain the same small, skinny twig, and I wanted to turn that around. And my dad kind of got me, interested in fitness for the first time at a young age. Kind of just, he wasn't a bodybuilder or anything like that, but he basically gave me a general foundational level of knowledge. And I was doing sit-ups and push-ups and things like that from a really young age, every night before bed and things like that. But baseball was the main reason, and becoming a teenager for the first time and really growing through high school, it just became more and more important to me. Not to mention looking good for the ladies, of course.
Of course.
Because as a young person, that's that seems to be one of the main things that we actually look for in one another before we actually grow up to find out all the other things that matter too.
Hmm.
The physical appearance side was a very big one for a young kid, basically, and that was a major motivator for me.
Yeah,
um,
same here, same here.
so that was generally what kind of kicked it off for me and got me started into my fitness life. What about you, Vaughn?
Well, my story is pretty similar. I remember back in my freshman year of high school, I decided myself, I want to be able to get ladies. Being like in any regular, any freshman dude in high school. Yeah, I want to look good for the ladies, and so I started doing all of these crunches, sit ups, leg raises, push ups in my parents' basement because I had the goal of getting a six pack. And being a skinny kid, it didn't take too long. And then the goal became maintenance from there on out. I remember this pretty pivotal moment in the second semester of my senior year of high school when two things happened. The first was I bought a membership at the Gold's Gym in Longmont, Colorado. And the second was I took an Ironworks class in high school, which, for those of you who don't know what Ironworks is, it's basically a class that just teaches you the fundamentals of weightlifting. And, my goal changed in my senior year. I didn't want to be, you know, a pretty boy. I wanted to get big. I wanted to get strong, and that really fueled my passion for lifting weights. It was a newfound thing. I started going to the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning because I had to
Oh
work.
God.
I had to work after school, and I couldn't make it to the gym after I got out of class or work. So
Talk about no excuses.
yeah, no excuses. I would wake up at 3:30 in the morning and I would go to the gym, be
Don't
there
have
at
time. You
4.
have 24 hours, just like everyone, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, and then that coupled with competing with my peers in Ironworks class, I wanted to be the kid who's lifting the most weight, and I think a lot of that has kind of transferred over. Um, I'm into powerlifting now. I want to. I'm always the guy in the gym who's trying to lift more than everyone else.
Yeah, I witnessed that firsthand when you got the 600 on deadlift.
Yeah, yeah. New goal is 800.
I
But
remember I yelled across the gym. Everyone heard me. I was like, "That's my boy."
yeah, well, but yeah, I mean, we all got into fitness, and we all have these stories, and I think that through these stories, they can bring us together. Uh, the three of us involved in Transcend right now, myself, Casey, and Brandon, we actually all met through Gold's Gym.
Yep,
We have the shared
that's
passion of
exactly right.
fitness.
So, yeah, whatever path you're on with fitness, it sounds like Vaughn and I initially got involved, kind of without knowing it early on, was to look good and to perform well,
Hmm.
to be strong, to lift a lot of weight.
Oh yeah,
Whether it was for the ladies or for sport or for just general performance,
yeah.
that was kind of seemed like our calling
Hmm.
in our fitness world. But really, there are so many more paths within the world of fitness. For example, triathletes, Spartan runners, CrossFitters, people that are just trying to put on muscle, or people that are just trying to take off fat, or any combination of any of those. There's just so
Absolutely.
many ways that you can incorporate fitness into your life. And for me, I think it doesn't matter which one or two or three that you've incorporated into yours, as long as it exists.
Hmm.
Because um, imagine, I think you were telling me earlier, Vaughn, if after building the fitness life that you have and the body that you have now, if that was just kind of disappeared one day, how would you feel?
Yeah, yeah.
You
I would
know?
feel like a. I feel like there's just a hole, like something's missing.
Yeah. So it. in my opinion, and yours probably too, it vastly improves our quality of life. You know,
Vastly.
and any form of fitness and health, being as strong as we can make it and working on it on a regular basis, it just makes us better as a whole. And so that's been my main reason for making it part of my life in the first place and keeping it part of my life is it's part of my self-development, and that's always been important to me, whether it's reading, learning in some way, writing, creating, mentally, physically, and emotionally. The physical part is also part of it.
Oh, completely. 100%. Yeah.
And I do think that's the truth for just about everyone else. I've there's a lot of people out there who have not ever really gotten heavily involved in some form of fitness. And I bet both of us can say, if they do, they're going to become a little happier. They're going to become a little more well-rounded of a person.
Yeah. No, I can personally attest to the fact that if you're listening to us right now, and if fitness is not a big part of your life, if you make it a part of your life, other areas of your life are going to start improving as well.
And so the other cool thing about fitness, just like a lot of other things like, sports or hobbies or, whatever you want to think of, fitness can bring people together. Just like you mentioned, Vaughn, like that's how the three of us met. And it's how I've met a lot of really close people who are, to this day, some of the most important people in my life, and some of them listening right now know who they are. So it's a common passion that people have, and it's a way that you can kind of expand your social circle in a way, your family, your fit family. You might have heard that saying before. And something I've come to realize with those people I've met in the gym or just out running or in any form of fitness is they're oftentimes working on those other aspects of personal development as well.
Yeah.
So they're not all physical. They're oftentimes, almost all the time actually, working on every aspect of their personal development, like just like myself. So this podcast you're listening to right now is our very first one, and it is one of two categories that we've decided to create. This one's called a marathon, which is basically a long one.
Yeah, this is a long run, folks.
Yeah, this first one's going to be a marathon, which is going to tend to be in the area of 35 minutes, 40 minutes, up to an hour even at times. We're probably not going to try to go that long on many of them, but so for you that have a long attention span, we appreciate it. You're going to appreciate the marathon episodes. For those of you who have the goldfish attention span, which is actually humans' attention span is equal to a goldfish now. I don't know.
So I've heard, I've heard that, yeah.
For those of you with that short attention span, we're basically going to have another category called sprints, which is just going to be a few minutes, 5, 10 minutes at a time of tidbits of information or ideas or, things like that, where if you're on the go and you just want to hear something quick, fitness related, those will be for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're so grateful that you guys are tuning in right now. And, the marathons, they're going to be long. We hope that you have the attention span to get through them, because we are going to get deep into some awesome fitness content for you guys. Like, I am so excited about these marathons. We're going to have some great discussions. But, if you don't have the time, that's fine, because we've got our sprints too. Maybe you need some extra gym motivation. So, the 10-minute drive from your house to the gym, you can throw in a sprint and hear about, a cool new arm workout, or, maybe the best meal to eat pre-workout, or anything like that. That's kind of going to be what our sprints are going to cover, just like, cool, informative, fitness related content. And, a lot of that is going to be the content that we're going to be providing as a whole with Transcend. We want to share our passion for fitness with you. We're going to inform you about certain lifts, proper nutrition. We're going to give you workout plans, stuff like that. We have a lot of plans in the making. Our colleague Brandon is working on some really big things. He's not present with us today at this podcast. He might be dropping in on a few of them later on. But we have some really big plans, and we hope you guys stay with us throughout.
Yeah, another big purpose of these online platforms that we're going to be using, such as Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, is not only for us to talk to you guys, but also the other way around. We want to get the community talking about what's working for you and things that, basically the value that Vaughn and I have found we want to share. We want everyone to be doing that same with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're basically, we want to create a community where everyone can share with everyone, and
Absolutely.
the knowledge and the experience that we're all having in our own fitness lives can become a big, mastermind group learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and just to emphasize that, we want these podcasts to be a collaborative effort with listeners. And what we mean by that is we want to hear your input. We want you to ask us questions. We want you to, give us comments. And, in our podcasts, we're going to plan on addressing those. So if you have any questions, fitness related, life related, anything, just shoot them our way, and we'll go ahead and talk about those. So let's talk about the current state of affairs. We're all facing a lot of challenges right now. We've all had to make some major sacrifices. I don't know what everybody personally is going through, but I know that we all share the common aspect of having made some sacrifice, some significant change to our lives. And, there is a certain mindset that I believe that you can adopt to, not just get through these times, but to actually improve.
mm-hmm. And I think I know what you're talking about, Vaughn. We were talking about this the other day, and
Mm-hmm.
that's, correct me if I'm wrong, but what doesn't kill me makes me stronger.
Absolutely. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger.
Yeah, so what we're going through as a community on a worldwide basis right now is kind of metaphorical to what we're dealing with on a daily basis with struggles, but also
Mm-hmm.
on a daily basis with our hobbies, our passions, and our developments.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
really what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. That's pretty much what we're doing to grow in every way. When we have a very difficult learning experience on a job, for example,
Yeah.
that it didn't kill me. It hurt, but now I'm stronger because of it.
Yeah.
And so the same goes for our physical growth as well,
Mm-hmm.
building our bodies, not only putting on muscle, but, if you're a marathon runner, you go run 24 miles in the one straight shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would kill me, but
Me too. My heart would just.
But that marathon runner, the next time he or she goes out, is going to try to surpass that last record that they set, the personal record they set. And so that's the whole aspect of, how we can relate the time we're in as a world, population right now to our daily journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we should just keep this mindset. We should just keep this in mind when we're adjusting to the changes that we are forced to adjust to. Whenever you're facing a hardship, just think to yourself. Instead of taking the negative, right? Being like, "Oh, this sucks." Well, yeah, it sucks. Okay, saying it sucks isn't going to make it better. Think instead, how can I use this moment to grow as a person? Don't let your hardships get the best of you. You know, we can take this opportunity to improve.
Yeah. And that's basically what we're being forced to do on a daily basis
Mm-hmm.
right now, as individuals, as businesses, as major corporations. We're basically being forced to figure out, how to work through the time, the struggle.
I agree. Yeah. You know, I think there's something important to be said in establishing a constant. And what I mean by that is making a pledge to yourself to do one thing, the same thing every day, to establish a routine. And I mean, by this I don't mean like sitting on your ass and playing an hour of Call of Duty every day or 10 hours of Call of Duty every day. I mean, sure, it might be fun, but is that productive? Is that goal oriented? Probably not.
Right.
When I talk about establishing a constant, I'm thinking about something that is actually going to help you grow as a person. Now, of course, if your goal is to become a pro gamer in Call of Duty and make millions of dollars on Twitch or something, then by all means, go ahead and do that. But that's not what we're about here at Transcend. We are about physical fitness. And so I want to emphasize establishing a constant in the realm of bettering yourself physically. And, we have to refuse to allow current circumstances to affect our goals in doing this.
Yeah. And, ironically, a lot of people can actually use, a very difficult time to make one of two decisions. Is either you can catapult forward,
Yeah.
or you can let it tear you apart and
Mm-hmm.
totally surrender and spiral down to the bottom.
Yeah.
And that's basically, you can only go backwards or forward is what the consensus is.
Mm-hmm.
And so one example of this time we're in is, it's actually, you've probably seen the stock market take a major plummet.
Oh,
You know what I
God.
mean?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you are losing like thousands.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
reason it plummets is because the majority of people that own stock are afraid, and they're taking their money out,
Mm-hmm.
which basically drops the stock market. And that's a vicious cycle. It's a psychological effect
Mm-hmm.
of a physical pandemic or anything else that could be happening.
Absolutely.
And so, but what the smart investors do is, and smart people in general, outside of the stock market, you can take any example. What the smart people do is don't act on fear. It's okay to have fear,
Absolutely.
and it's okay to think things and not say them.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the same to have fear and not act on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's even okay to talk about your fear, but, just don't let your fear govern who you are.
Yeah, and as
Right?
we've seen, fear itself can destroy an economy.
Oh, it can.
And so what the smart shareholders do, investors, which most of us are to some
Mhm.
extent or another, is they just keep doing exactly what they're already doing. In fact, they're actually given an opportunity to invest at a discounted rate,
Yeah. Well, they've established a constant, haven't they?
which is why the same 5% or the same 1% stay in the same 5 and 1%,
There you go.
is because they are, maybe 5% more intelligent than all the people acting on fear. Who knows? But that's kind of the approach we got to take in everything when we're faced with a struggle like this. Is how can we catapult forward? Because the only alternative is spiraling out
Well, yeah.
down to the bottom.
Well, yeah. And don't see this as something completely sucky. I mean, yeah, it sucks in a lot of ways. current times, yeah, sure. But I think that we can all look at this time as an opportunity. I mean, I know that across the nation, gyms are closed right now. Like, and people are really upset about that. Having to do push-ups and sit-ups in their living
Oh,
room
yeah.
or whatever. But maybe we can't use the gym. But maybe that's not such a bad thing. This might give us the opportunity to get into other forms of exercise that maybe we put off or took for granted before. I, for one, suck at running. I have horrible cardiovascular endurance. It is just something that as a weightlifter, I haven't really focused on a whole lot. And now I'm realizing as my mind is being opened to alternate forms of fitness, going on a run sometimes, maybe that's not such a bad thing. And it improves it. It really helps improve your overall well-roundedness as a person.
Yeah. And so a lot of people do use the gym. Most people don't have their own home gym.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough to be one of those few.
Yeah,
I have
Casey's got
a pretty good setup
he's got a
upstairs.
sick setup.
But that it still limits me as far as I was using Gold's Gym on a nightly basis, and there's so much equipment, and so many different forms of
Yeah.
exercises you can do in there, and even for me, like it just opens my eyes to adjusting
Yeah.
to what we have to do, and talking for everyone else who doesn't have a home gym, there's a lot of various ways to kind of use this time to an advantage. Which, like you said, Vaughn, a lot of people are going to be, working on their cardiovascular health in this time,
yeah.
because that's
Absolutely.
what's most readily available, and
Very much.
and that's what a lot of people need,
Yeah.
On the other hand, maybe outside of exercise itself, another consideration is diet.
Oh yeah, diet is a big one here. I mean, if you look at like grocery stores right now, you're going to see a lot of shortages on food, especially non-perishable food, which actually isn't all that good for you. A lot of it, is packed with preservatives and all sorts of interesting things.
The non-perishables perish your stomach, basically.
They can. They really can. And so, we could actually see, the current times as a really great opportunity to transform our diets for the better. Fresh, healthy food is actually like pretty much one of the main things that's available right now. I mean, all the fresh produce, fresh meat, whatever, that stuff's around. So maybe you have to replace a staple in your diet, right? Maybe you can't eat the ramen you've been so accustomed to lately, but I mean, see it as an opportunity to try something new and try something healthy.
Right. And I've been going to the grocery store still because I still need to survive.
Yeah.
And
Same.
and eat. And what I'm seeing is most of the convenient, easy things are being, running out of stock extremely quickly.
Yeah.
And most of the easy, convenient things are not healthy. They're very processed foods, which for me, that doesn't change my trip to the grocery store at all during this time, because, I was already going for the whole vegetables and, all the deemed healthy stuff. And luckily for guys and girls that have already been doing that, it's not a big change as far as what you see on the shelves in the grocery stores right now. But that being said, there's a lot of people out there who aren't heavily involved in physical activity, but are, very conscious of their dietary health.
Yeah.
What I mean? They think very specifically on what goes into their body and things like that. And so this is one of those times where even those people are affected.
Yeah, completely. And as I mentioned before, some items are experiencing shortages. One personal frustration for me lately is that I have not been able to find eggs at the grocery store. People come to the store and they just overbuy things, and eggs apparently are one of them. And I'm the kind of guy, I like my protein and I like my low fat protein, and like those eggs are great for that. I mean, eggs are such a good food if you are into bodybuilding and weightlifting. And dude, I would eat 6 eggs in one sitting. I would eat half a dozen eggs in one sitting. And you know what? I haven't been doing that anymore, because when I get eggs, the times are like forcing me to think about food portioning. And I think that's healthy, because it's not necessarily healthy to overindulge, right? And so in thinking about this, now I'm only eating like 3 or 4 eggs at one sitting because I'm trying to make my food supply last a little bit longer. And in doing that, I think that we can see this as an opportunity to kind of like put some restrictions on, excessive food intake, right? So, we might actually see the development of some healthier eating habits.
Yeah, I agree. And it has been said before that, by diet experts that rather than eating 3 big meals a day, it's better to eat, 5 or 6 small meals throughout the day, evenly spaced apart, so
Actually,
that
I've been doing that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So that your nutrient stores last the same throughout the whole day. Your energy levels are the same, your fuel sources are the same for any given hour of the day.
Yeah.
Versus eating one big meal, having a bunch of energy for an hour, and then crashing 2 hours later, then having to eat your second big meal.
The crash is real. I get that. Yeah.
But yeah, so the portion control thing is going to help with a lot of, hopefully, people that take advantage of it, is going to help for weight loss. And it's also going to help for already fit people to become even a few more percent fit as far as their diet goes.
Very, very much agreed on that. I mean, well, what about budgeting, Casey? Do you think that there's, do you think that we could view these opportunities as in any way, on our wallets? I know that a lot of us are pretty stressed financially right now. But maybe the current times could actually allow us to develop some exceptional budgeting practices.
Yeah, so basically the whole foods, the healthy foods, it turns out are actually less expensive than the processed unhealthy stuff, the junk food basically, which blows my mind.
Yeah, right? Isn't
So
that
people
crazy?
are willing to spend more, I guess, for the flavor and the satisfaction of junk food than to spend less and have the healthy feeling, the good feeling of the good whole foods. So that's kind of, but hopefully in this time, you're faced with a decision like that to see that, those easy, convenient, unhealthy foods are less available and they're more expensive. Hopefully that'll turn some people towards, changing the way they eat.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, and it makes a difference on, the dollar amount that you see come across the screen when you check out.
Yeah.
Is it actually helps out your wallet.
Yeah, guys, a penny saved is a penny earned.
Yeah.
Take it from
And a
Ben
lot
Franklin?
of people, a lot of people right now are not making any income or are making less than they need or less than they were. And so this is one way to help with that aspect.
Yeah. So, I mean, in conclusion, we can proactively use the current circumstances to lead to a healthier lifestyle. And we need to view this as a positive. We need to view our current situation as a positive. Every day that we are alive is a blessing, and we need to be able to, use the time that we have to, better ourselves, to see a way in which, maybe we can improve. Maybe we can develop good habits.
What a thought.
What a thought. Guys, don't become complacent. Like reflect over what was just discussed. Think about that constant, right? Establishing that constant, and think about a way that you can establish that in your own life.
Yeah, and it really is a pretty clearly obvious time to use as an excuse to basically let go.
Yeah.
And to not try, and to basically just do whatever you want. And the things that you actually can do right now, as far as, you can sit home and play video games. You can eat all the junk food you want.
Yeah.
I mean, those choices are there, and it's basically an excuse. It's a huge excuse that anyone can use.
Absolutely.
But it really tells you the type of person you are and the type of person you'll be based on that, that choice you make.
Yeah. I mean,
do you use the excuse or do you not?
Yeah. Are you going to be like a victim, or are you going to be a boss of your circumstances?
I like
And
that.
I think for a lot of us, I mean, when we look at it in short term, maybe the easiest path would appear to be that of the victim, right? You say, oh, the times can't allow for me to do what I've been doing. I'm going to give up. And no, you can't do that. There's always an alternative. There's always a way around. And, you know, you choose the victim mentality and you accept defeat. You surrender and I guess you just decide that like whatever you were working towards just wasn't meant to be. But if you decide to be a boss, if you decide to like, you know, embrace that alpha mentality, then you'll acknowledge, yeah, well, nothing is really meant to be, but I can create it for myself.
Hmm.
And I think that's the difference. Is like both mentalities are like, yeah, okay, this wasn't meant to be, but one of them acknowledges it, one of them embraces it, and says the only way that this can be is if I get up off my ass and do something.
Right. And I have a pretty clear example of someone choosing the victim mentality. Who It was a young lady that was working at my building.
Hmm.
Basically, she would call in sick quite often. Long before this pandemic happened,
Yeah.
and take a lot of vacation days when we really needed her there. And
Oh.
a few days before any big businesses started to close down, any restaurants or gyms,
Mhm.
she basically decided to self quarantine before any of the rest of the world did.
Proactive.
Yeah. And in a matter of speaking, she basically quit her job using she walked out on her job, actually, no notice,
Oh.
using this, this pandemic shutdown as an excuse, and
Mhm.
so that's one prime example of, what not to do.
Yeah. Yeah. No
And
kidding.
the proper way to handle that would be, do what everyone else is doing, do what the government is suggesting, and the city council
Mhm.
and things like that. But don't take that as an excuse to just quit, just to
Yeah.
bail out. And that's exactly what she did. But
Yeah. Wow.
so, for example, there's a lot of things that I can do at my house that I usually choose not to, because my days are so full of work, meetings, workout, other areas that I progress
Sure.
in all the time, like reading, for example. I can read for an hour straight
Yeah.
every single day right now if I want to. I could also choose to play video games for 3 hours
Yeah.
right now.
Yep.
But which one am I going to choose? One helps my life, and we need a balance. We definitely need a fair balance. But understanding that certain things progress us
Yeah.
forward, some things just kill our brains.
Yeah, I mean, like we're not saying that like if you play video games then you're a loser or you're not going to get anywhere in your life, but we're saying that we have to like balance these things, right? And you can't just say that, oh, I'm a product of the times, and use that as a as a means to warrant just sitting around all
Yeah.
day. You just can't do that.
You don't want to go with the flow if the flow is not going in the right direction.
Very true.
You know?
Yeah, and I mean that victimhood mentality, it might seem easier in the short term, but believe me, folks, in the long term, it's going to make life a hell of a lot more difficult because
That's right.
you're living with the consequences of your complacency. I mean, maybe as a result of this mentality, you find yourself in a dead-end job that you hate. Just because it was the secure way to go, because you didn't want to put in the extra work to
Yeah.
get that extra, that promotion, or maybe you had a business that you always wanted to start and you just didn't because you could never find the energy or the mental fortitude to go with it. Or maybe you find yourself in like an unhealthy relationship for the same reason. It felt like the more secure route, just comply, stick it out. Maybe you should feel like your life should be more. You can't quite put your finger on it. And what I'm saying is that, by getting out of the victimhood mentality, that's the first step That is the first step in being able to transcend to something better.
That is the transcend mindset.
That is the transcendent mindset, folks. And we are going to be telling you about how to develop this mindset. You know, what is it? What exactly is this mindset? You know, personally for me, I define it as choosing to not be a victim, right? But that's easier said than done. So how do you do it? We don't know really quite what works for you, but you know, we do know, you know, what we've done, and we believe it works for us, and so we kind of just want to share our knowledge.
Yeah, and oftentimes what works for one person might work for another.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
least you can kind of test it out and experiment and
Test the waters. Yeah.
yeah. But I wanted to touch on, you know, kind of the consistent choices and consistent wrong choices, for example, that we were just talking about. Is you gotta kind of look at your life and your body and your career and your relationships. One good example is, like, I think of it as a car. You know,
Yeah.
you can't treat your car like shit and
No, you
expect
can't.
it to run. And,
No.
you know, if you don't check up, you know, your car, you don't fix up the engine when it needs it, replace a tire when it's slashed.
Yeah.
Or,
Driving
you know,
around with a slashed tire.
yeah, I mean, that's basically how a lot of people fucking continue to live their
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
And
Very
so
true.
that's what it becomes for a lot of
Yeah.
people is it's almost irreversible after a certain
Yeah.
point. It just becomes more and more and more difficult, and almost becomes like a nightmare that by the time you finally really want to turn it around, it is out of sight to get to that light at the end of the tunnel. You know, so that's really what we want to avoid.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, developing this mindset, I think, is coming to terms with the fact, as I said before, that nothing is meant to be. Nothing is meant to be. You have to go out there and you have to achieve it for yourself. And this comes down to establishing a constant, figuring out what you are going to do, you know, to progress towards your goal every single day. And not just establishing a constant, but building on it, right? You're not gonna obviously get very far if you say, okay, I'm just going to run a mile every single day. Well, eventually you'll be able to run a mile pretty well, right? But maybe the next day or the next week or month or whatever, start running a mile and a half. Keep building, keep trying to improve. You know, the transcendent mindset isn't just about, you know, doing the same thing over and over again. It's about becoming more. It's about like not having
Doing it better.
Yeah, it's about doing it better. Being a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday.
Yep. And that's exactly our slogan, is transcend yesterday.
Yeah.
So even from day to day, you know, we can improve. But regardless, you know, having that transcendent mindset is the main focus of what we want to share, what we want to always keep in mind during whatever we talk about. We don't want to get too deep into anyone's personal life, or, you know,
True.
you know, into subjects that don't really apply. But we are, you know, the transcendent mindset and fitness. Those are our two major subjects. And so, you know, a lot of brands out there are very materialistic, very, you know, there's no substance to them. There's
Agreed.
no genuine, you know, element
Yeah.
to them, and that's not what we want to be. We want to be involved with something, you know, something further than that. And so if we were to just talk fitness, that's great, but that's just physical. So we are about so much more than that, because without the mindset, there would be no physical. Of course.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's always, you know, one generates the other, one carries the other,
Absolutely.
one creates the other. And so because of the mindset that we've created over time and continue to practice and work on and build on a daily basis, that has created our journey within fitness and what we've built on that path. So, fitness is a great, kind of element basically
Yeah.
to build yourself around.
Yeah.
And, I know one very prominent public figure who's done just that and started out in the bodybuilding world, which was everyone knows Arnold
Arnold.
Schwarzenegger. And if you don't know his story, he basically he came out of Austria at a very young age, basically ran away from boot camp or military camp or whatever it was to win his first bodybuilding show, which was in his homeland. And then that basically sparked him to move to America and become the best bodybuilder of all time, still proclaimed by many to this day.
Yeah.
And so, being the best in the world at a certain category or a sport or anything for 7 years straight, he got tired of doing that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the very
absolutely.
top spot in the world. So he basically did that with two more major life categories. And the next one was, film industry,
Yeah.
Hollywood. He was,
How many of you have seen The Terminator?
yeah. I mean, so many. The Predator,
Yeah.
so many freaking.
He's an action movie icon.
Yeah. And I think, I'm pretty sure he was the top, actor in the world, at least top paid actor in the world.
I would
at one
not
point
doubt
as well.
it. I would not doubt it.
Yeah. And so, of course, he dominated that field as well. So then had to move on again to the next one, which was politics. He basically became the governor of California and did his part in giving that the life that it needed at the time, and basically transforming the state of California and the state they were in at the time. So, but that all sparked out of the fundamentals and principles that he developed within fitness.
Yeah, I mean, would you say that Arnold probably has a transcendent mindset?
I would say so.
I would definitely say
I'd like to ask him and see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so this is something that we really believe, I mean, this transcendent mindset can be applied to anything, right? Anything, any goal you have in your life, you can use this kind of mindset. I want to be better than I was yesterday. I'm going to establish a constant. I'm going to keep working. I'm not going to make excuses, and I'm going to get there. And, you can apply that to anything. But we believe here at Transcend that a really good place, if you haven't done it already, a really good place to start is fitness. Physical fitness leads to tangible progress. In other words, you can physically feel it. You can physically see it. I mean, it hurts, man. If you're doing bicep curls, if you're doing them right, it hurts. And, you're going to see that in the mirror. You're going to see that progress. And, for this reason, it's a really good starting place for developing a self-progression based mindset. It's what did it for me. I was lazy back in high school. I'm not going to lie. I didn't do my homework. I half-assed my classes. I still got good grades somehow, but I could have done so much better. But what the gym did for me is it established a work ethic. It made me want to improve, not just in the gym, but in other areas of my life, because I was actually able to apply my work to something and see the progress, see the results, and see what hard work could do. And when you can actually physically feel, when you can physically determine the result of hard work, I really think that it is a great place to start to kind of apply that mindset into other areas of your life.
Right. And even for me, kept me out of trouble at a young age,
Yeah, totally.
I could have easily gone down a totally different path and become because that's really where we start creating who we are.
Yeah.
Our young adult years.
Very much.
It leads to kind of who we are as adults. And so had I not found some aspect of fitness at a young age, my whole life may be different today. It may be different for the worse.
Yeah, totally.
So always grateful for that every day. And just, grateful to have the health and the opportunity and, all of my limbs, all of my aspects of my health
Mm-hmm.
to be able to live a strong life of fitness. And I think we all need to not take that for granted.
I agree. Yeah.
So many people do that. So many people let it waste away their entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a sad sight. It's kind of like what's happening to the earth over decades and decades. You just see it kind of waste away and being taken advantage of and kind of losing life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in a way how a lot of human beings live their life, and it's the opposite of what we want to do.
Oh, well, take a step back, realize everything you have, express gratitude, and realize that you are so capable of moving forward, of getting over these premonitions in your head that might be saying you're not good enough, right? You can do this. You can get to those goals. You just need to establish a constant. Don't make excuses. Do not be a victim. Do not get complacent. Strive to improve every day. That's what we're here. That's what we're about here at Transcend. That's what we're about. And I think this is pretty much our finishing remarks. If you have anything else to say, Casey.
Right. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. Once again, we are Transcend Fitness. We are just getting started. This is the very first episode.
Just
a lot more
started.
to come.
Oh yeah.
We're going to dive very, very deep into fitness and mentality, the Transcend mentality. And we just hope that you can join us whenever you can. We hope that you can share with anyone who you think will get value from it. We will be on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud. We just appreciate you guys and becoming part of the Transcend community and hope that you stick around.
Thanks, guys.
We'll talk to you next time.